Can you say what you just said just before I started recording? Just that one sentence.
It's a creepy episode.
Yeah, Wingman Wayne. What's crazy about your podcast, which, as I've mentioned, I listen to religiously, is that it feels like a billion years ago.
Yes.
The episode we're going to talk about later, I don't think I've seen it since it aired or dropped. Remember when we used to say that? I always felt like I had an album. I was like, well, we're dropping.
We're dropping a new season.
My single is dropping. But like Wingman Wayne, I don't think I could watch. I don't think I could watch that one. I was like, just hearing you guys talk about it, I was like, oh God.
It was a hard watch. And we were trying to be like, it's pretty funny, and like trying to like find, it's like obviously what we're here for is to hype it up, obviously. But I was like, I hate this episode. I love Fart Book and I hate Wingman Wayne, which is shocking to me. But I guess sex grosses me out more.
We were really finding the amount of episodes that we wrote for that first season and didn't use at all. There was at least 3, I think. And like, we were really trying to find our footing, We were trying to like figure out what the fuck this show was. Because, it started from like these skits, like these 3 YouTube skits, but there was no show. There was no it was just like the thing that becomes the show's hallmark, which is this rapid fire dialogue and these wonderful insults and all this stuff. But beyond that, there was no world. And so it was like creating this world and then finding the right footing, I think, especially for the Hicks, of like, what is this relationship? Like, what are we watching? And what's fun about the Three Wise Men is that you can see the sweetness, which is so on display in Super Soft. Mm-hmm. And even kind of in Fart Book, which I agree, I also think it's the best episode of that year. Like, I think it's the most ambitious. So. It's totally. So weird.
It's so weird. I cannot believe you guys were allowed to make it.
Could go. Oh, agreed. Well, nobody was paying any attention because the show, everyone was spending 2 nickels on the show. They didn't care what we did. Like, we rejected our own ideas. The network approved stuff that we were like, you should not do this. Like, we had a violently bad idea for a show that we got real far. For an episode, I should say, they got real far. And we were like, we can't do this.
This is one of the scrapped episodes that you guys didn't do?
I won't even tell you on air what it was about.
Yeah,
really?
no.
Because it was bad. Bad could have ended the show before it began bad.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting.
And Jared and I just looked at each other at one point. We were like, what are we doing?
It's just Shorzy getting food poisoning, just diarrhea for 30 minutes. Is that the whole? It being really into anal. That one episode.
So much worse than that. That is basically an episode of the show. That's just like later on. But
damn.
Yeah. Anywho,
we're gonna definitely take that and put that in because that was some real cool insider talk from the director. But let's
that's a box.
Oh wow.
We just
what are
name
your
cool
4 favorites
things now.
Only Dutch films. Go.
Oh my god.
It is.
Okay, well, to start off,
Dutch films.
You would know how to answer. That's what's fucked.
I know. I'm actually kind of curious what your letterboxd are, just because I know you've thought about it.
I haven't. And I'm every time I see that stuff, I just skip it. I'm like, I don't want to know this about people. I could tell you, like, what are we doing? Why are we talking about that?
I mean, we can talk about whatever we want because it's our podcast. We do whatever we want.
Yo, you're trying to direct the podcast too? Jesus.
Yeah, I just did.
Unbelievable.
I was like, no, I don't like this. Start over.
This guy. This is what it was like, by the way, on set. This is exactly it. This is.
You can tell.
Thank God, because he's the director.
Yeah, he did tell us exactly.
Someone has to fucking do it, Evan.
Yeah, right.
Anarchy.
Forgetting that's your job.
Pure anarchy. It's literally my job.
That was his whole entire job.
My whole entire job. And occasionally just slick my hair down and look like a pervert.
Ugh, which you did so well. Okay, let's get into this properly.
Let's get into it.
Welcome to Spare Parts. This is a very special episode. We're so excited. We're doing the Christmas special, which we're doing a big jump ahead a few seasons. But we figured this is the first year without a Letterkenny season dropping on Christmas. And we wanted to kind of give you guys a little something so that you don't absolutely fall into a pit of despair, which we assume would happen otherwise.
I mean, we can guarantee that.
So we're really excited to do this one, and we have a very special guest. I want to do a little intro because not only did this person direct every single episode of Letterkenny, he's one of the head writers. He is one of my very dearest friends, whether he likes it or not, and possibly a soulmate. Again, whether he likes it or not, it's Jacob
Not my
Tierney.
choice. I don't make the rules.
No, he's just got to go along with it. Thank you so much for being here, Jacob. We love you.
Such a pleasure. I love you too. And Evan, it's really nice to finally meet you.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you too.
Yeah. This must be exciting for you, Evan.
Yeah,
finally
Tyler always
talking
kept
to you.
a veil between us, so that
Tyler made this weird rule. I mean, it didn't seem weird at the time, but like, just Evan doesn't want to be spoken to. No eye contact with Evan.
No.
I'm the diva.
He made you out to be like a Jennifer Lopez type.
Interesting. I didn't know that we were going to go.
Evan's going to change his costume again. It's like, okay, he said one thing, and now he has to have a fucking quick change.
And the quick change is just a new bandana, the same one, just a slightly different position.
I'm getting flashbacks. It's happening.
I'm glad to be here. I'm a big fan of this podcast. I think it's really fun, and I've been listening since it started, and I think it's great.
That surprises me.
And I do think it's like, and I don't think I just like it because it's obviously a haunting trip down memory lane for me in so many ways, but also you guys are, it's like, I feel like I'm hanging out with you, which is so nice. And I love your love advice. I love the romance.
Oh, I can't wait to hear your advice. This is exciting. No, this is very cool. And obviously, like, we've all been friends for a really long time. We've all worked together for a very long time. And it's been so strange going back and seeing season 1 and watching how much Glenn is in it to start, which is so nice. And I know that, like, obviously because you were directing the show, you had to kind of limit certain things just because you had to do your job. But seeing Glenn and like how far you took him in the season to begin with, and also just like how you knew exactly who he was, and all of these things were solidified so early on. More so, I think, than any other character.
Didn't he? Glenn.
Glenn starts where he ends up.
You come in hot.
He comes in hot. It's true. Yeah, it's just like, truthfully, Glenn was just a voice I did to make Jared laugh when we were writing the show. And that's how Glenn became Glenn.
It's going in the show. That's going in the show.
Yeah, that's going in the movie.
That's going in the movie.
Yeah,
putting it in.
A lot of that. But yeah, no, it really does. I mean, as I said before we started work, technically when we did start recording, it's amazing how long ago it feels. I mean, it is a long time ago, but like, wow.
Another life.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you said that about the Christmas, because in my head, I didn't look this up. I was like, when was that? Like, when did we even make? Because I believe St. Perfect's Day was our first special.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But Christmas, all I remember about it was that I had to make it in one day.
Yeah. And that was like
an
actual play. I remember when we did the
we
Christmas
had no
episode,
choice. I was like, you three over here, friggin' stand. It was really like, and watching it again was almost horrifying in some ways. But
because it's a horror movie. It's actually like a horror episode.
Not to jump ahead, but hockey in this episode, like the full-on serial killer vibes from hockey, which is it's like funny, but it's also like, they're serial killers.
No,
Well,
also, I'm sorry, but Santa Claus Wayne has dead bodies under the home. Like, it's so eerie in this way that I was not. Well, okay.
I think you guys might be.
We got to get into it, but
I'm not gonna. I think you guys might be also taking some of your feelings from the one time the three of us did watch it together at your place, Jacob.
This is what I'm. Okay, I was going to say. Do you remember this?
Scary as it actually is. Okay. Well, we had a couple bottles of wine between the three of us, and
we
whatever
smoked
else.
The pot.
The wacky tobacco.
And then we watched the episode. And I remember being like, the three of us were sitting there going, yes.
Yes.
And we were like all bug-eyed, staring at the screen. And you were like, what did we make? Yeah. You were so upset.
We were losing. Because I was like, oh, this is the weirdest show on the planet. And you were like,
it is a weird show.
Holy
But what I will
shit.
say about it was that I found that it weirded me out initially, But also, I haven't watched Letterkenny in so long.
It's a weird episode to start with.
It's a weird episode to start with. But as it went along, I was like, well, this is funny.
Yeah. Oh my God. So many funny moments.
Yeah, there's some funny moments. There's some funny
Coach?
stuff. Oh,
Mark on the floor? I kept his legs? I was dying.
I know. The song, which turned into a whole thing later.
This is, because I partly through, normal stuff and partly through trauma, I don't remember anything. So when did we record Christmas Lover? Was it a year later?
It was much later, yes.
Yes, it was much later.
Because he's already humming it. The tune is there. It's
there.
happened. She's alive, Christmas Lover.
Christmas Lover's alive. Yeah, it's a really, okay, just to bring it back a little bit. This episode was
Let's have a
released
coherent conversation.
Michelle's the director of this podcast.
I got to keep everyone in check.
Yeah.
But yeah, this I think came out in 2018, so we're like a few years into the show already.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But to take it back a little bit, just because I think people are going to want to know, and selfishly, I want to hear it again because I love to hear you talk. How did you get involved in Letterkenny to begin with? Like, did you know each other before? Because some people knew Jared, before.
Yeah. No, I didn't. So it was just, I wish there was a better story, but it was a blind date. It was like the corporate, like I was on a list of approved people by Bell. There was no Crave at the time.
How'd you get on a list of approved people though?
Because I made some successful films, Evan.
Okay.
God,
it was largely because of The Trotsky, which is a movie that I made that people liked. And then I did, because I English good, I did a bunch of pilots for CBC that did not air. So I was like beginning to be in the mix of this world, because TV is actually really hard to break into. And I was just on a list of approved people from Bell, and Jared, as it turned out, was a fan of The Trotsky. And so we met and we just hit it off, and that was it. Like, it's not like there's no, but we did not know each other. I was aware of him. He was already doing 19.2 in Montreal.
Yeah, he was a Montreal boy. You're a Montreal boy.
Well, kind of, in the sense that he was there working.
He was falling in love with Montreal, though.
Sure, but I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then we met at Sala Rosa, very, very hip place in Montreal, no big deal, but like very Arcade Fire, very Wolf Parade. Wow. And we had a beer. We just made each other laugh a ton. And I did not think that was going to happen. Like, I watched this YouTube stuff and I was like, I think this is funny. I don't think I'm ever going to get this job. Like, I don't think that I don't see how I...
Oh, so was he interviewing you, kind of? Is that the vibe?
Well, we were kind of interviewing each other in the sense, like, do we want to do this? Like, but it's like we both have to want to do it is the thing, right? Like, obviously, Jared was the one who was out picking people that he wanted to meet in case he wanted to collaborate with them. And then ultimately, it wasn't a hostage situation. I was allowed to walk away as well.
What a great read, though. I mean, like, on someone, is there any other television show you can think of that the director has directed every single episode of with like 80 episodes?
Yeah, it's not a thing.
It's not a thing.
It's not a thing.
Why was that a thing?
Because we had no money. Everything about this show is because we had no money, right? Okay. So it was like, we had to block shoot everything. We also, at the time, it got a bit more normal, but we did 6. And that wasn't a normal amount of episodes. It's usually 12 then. So like, it was a smaller order and we had no money. And so the way that the show looks and the way that we make the show were all based on this idea. Like, part of the reason that I don't let you guys move ever is because I was like, I can't film your entrances and exits. I don't have the time. Like, we have to, that's why, like, it was these big, big wide shots and these close-ups, because that's what we could pull off. Right. And that's what we had the time to do. And then I just kind of create, and also because, like, I always had this thing where, like, Jared doesn't move. So I was like, so the camera doesn't move. Like, and if Jared, because, like, if Jared moves, he's like, and then he starts to walk, right? Like, it's these very direct.
That was perfect.
Kind of motions. For those of you listening at home, that was a perfect Jared Keystone.
It was a perfect read.
It was perfect. It was without a flaw.
God.
And so, most of the stuff was built out of necessity. And so I just directed them all because we block shot it like a movie. And that ended up working well until... Fast forward. Do you remember the 2 seasons we did in a row after COVID? That we did like 14 episodes at the same time? Yes. That was when I was like, this doesn't work anymore. Because I would show up to work and be like, what episode is this from? Like, what's even happening? Because we were doing 14 at once.
And then you'd have like a 6-page monologue as Glenn.
Oh, let's not talk about that. and then I would literally, sometimes I'd be like, what is this from? Who wrote this? And Jared would be like, you wrote that.
You wrote this.
Oh, cool. But I wrote it 2 years ago, before the pandemic. And I was like,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Wait, can I ask, when we me forgetting this as well, those 2 seasons, did we block shoot the 2 seasons mixed together, or did we do
we did all 14
That's
at once.
Crazy.
Yes,
That's crazy. Insane. That's an insane choice.
It was an insane choice, and that's partly my fault because I didn't raise it big enough. I think I could have gotten my way with 7 and 7, but I was just like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And then
let's just make it work.
But then I remember the farm. We were at the farm for so long, and I was just like, I don't even know what's happening. And also, we, for a variety of reasons, we had to switch the order of a lot of things around, and it was just complete chaos. But like in retrospect, it was never not going to be chaos doing 14 episodes of TV at once. And like, it's not like the plot matters on Letterkenny, right? Like, but at the same time, how did reveal?
Super narrative driven. What are you talking about?
It's still fun to know what the B story is, like which episode. Do you know what I remember it so clearly, Michelle? We were doing a scene with you and your Doc Martens, and you made a thing about them, and I was like, what's happening? Why is this? Why are we talking about this? Like, what is even going on? Because it wasn't the first one. It was like the third one. But we were doing it for the first time. And I just blanked. And I was like,
you're like, cut?
Why is she wearing those shoes and why are we talking about it? Like, what's even happening here? And it was, I mean, I'm sure it was Jared. It was like, it's a runner through the whole season. And I was like,
oh.
Well, I believe you, but all right, let's move this along. Like, because we'd written half of them a year and a half before.
Right.
And then half of them we wrote 20 seconds before we filmed them. So it was just like, it was just, anyway, my brain was everywhere. And it was also back from COVID. I had COVID brain.
Oh, yeah. That was a nutty 2 months. That was like an overwhelming.
Everybody's amped.
And fragile, too. Like trying to kind of like assimilate back into a workflow that Letterkenny's, as quickly as we shoot it, as fun as it is, as like, stagnant the shots are and manageable, you made it.
Stagnant's a weird word, but fine, cool.
Well,
still, picturesque. A lot of
no, absolutely stunning. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm kidding.
You made a lot of things a lot easier given what you were given, but it was a really hard show as far as workload. It was huge amounts of dialogue.
When I tell people how many pages a day we shot, they don't believe that it's even possible.
I feel like we held the record in the basement in season 3 with Sarah Gadden, no?
Well, that's my favorite story about tricking somebody into doing Letterkenny is when I called because
Sarah Gadden plays gay, by the way.
Plays gay, and Sarah's a very good friend of mine, like one of my closest friends. And so it was season 3, and I called her and I was like, "Okay, would you arc on Letterkenny?" And she for the whole season. And she was like, "Oh yeah, sure, absolutely." And then she called me like a week and a half later. She was like, "I'm working 2.5 days. I thought you said I was arcing on Letterkenny." And I was like,
"Oh yeah.
Did you look at the page count per day?" And she was like, it was something like 48 pages over 2.5 days.
Yeah.
And she was like, "What? How do the people?" And I was like, "Yeah. Anyway, you'll meet Tyler and Evan. You'll rehearse a lot. The truth is, you're going to be sitting on a couch for 2.5 days, and you will never stop talking. But you're just sitting on a couch.
Yeah.
So it's 2.5 days.
Yeah,
it's basically a soap opera.
So
right?
crazy.
Like that's how they do soap opera. Like 40 pages. They just do the.
I did a soap when I was a kid, and it is a French soap. Thank you very much. Called Watatatao.
What's it called? Come on.
That is all real. That's literally what's
what's it called?
Watatatao. And it was on for like 25 years. Watatatao. One of you can Google it right the fuck now. It was on for 20 years, and I was on the first 2 seasons of it.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, wait, because you were a child actor. When did you start acting? How old were you?
4.
Holy.
Cheese and crackers.
But you're also a Nepo baby.
Yeah, you're a Nepo baby.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I did start in the business at the same time as my dad started in the business.
Oh, okay.
Our careers began at the same time.
So
you guys
he's a
like
Nepo
Bon
daddy,
Cop, Bad Cop? Huh? Anyone out there enjoy that film?
Bon Cop. Like, it's like
Bon Cop, Bad Cop.
There it is. Bon Cop, Bad Cop.
Bon Cop, Bad Cop.
That's my dad's movie. Bon Cop, Bad Cop.
Great movie. Great movie.
Thanks.
It is a great movie. 4 though. That's
I did a commercial when I was 4, and then I worked a ton as a kid.
But your most important role of all time was Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Of course.
A thing I totally. Speaking of things you shoot in 18 seconds, so I was a campfire kid for the first 2 years, and we did all that in like 5 days too. And so like every time, there's always like once a year, someone's like, "I'm writing an oral history of Are You Afraid of the Dark," and they try to get in touch with me, and I'm always like, Guy, I don't remember
the amount of times I've thought
days?
about getting in touch with you about that. I'm like, oh, okay, do you think it's enough time has passed now between
I
someone
told you,
asking
lose
him?
my number. Yeah. But it is like, I don't remember anything about it. Because it was just like, oh boy, this is scary. And now the story of the Jack in the Box or whatever, and on the fire or whatever we did. And then that's it. I didn't even know what happened in the stories. I don't even think we got those scripts. So I was like, I don't know what happens. I just introduce it, and then we like back from commercial, like, if you thought that was scary, wait till you see what happens after we sell you cereal or like whatever the fuck we did.
Did you get to do you remember if you dumped water on the fire? Did you ever get to do it?
Yeah, I did it. I actually, I remember throwing the thing. That was a whole thing. Because like we threw a thing and then it went whoosh, I think.
Can we find a clip of you doing this? We have to find a clip.
Can.
Okay, that's going on the list. I need to see you taking the fire down. I just do.
Sure.
I need to see you taking the fire down.
The fire. Ooh.
Sorry, I've been watching Letterkenny, so this is how I talk.
Yeah, taking down. There is something, and I guess it's the way they say it in this
episode. Like a lion killing a gazelle.
They're on a hunt. They're hunting the world's most dangerous game. Man. Woman. Woman.
They're very funny, and though I will say,
they're
like,
so funny.
Their dialogue
they're
and delivery.
So funny. The crying, the tears are so sweet.
Oh God.
As scary as the episode is to us on some level, it is a very funny, very charming episode overall.
Yeah. I mean, let's fully get into the Christmas episode. When did you watch it, Jacob?
Last night.
Yeah, me too. Evan, just before we started recording?
Just before we started filming.
Cool.
Every time.
Well, then it's fresh.
It's very fresh.
Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I guess the plot of this episode is they're throwing a Christmas party and they have a tradition of getting
alcoholism, of intense alcoholism,
but
which
like
is a recurring theme.
Liqueurs.
Yeah, the grossest of the gross.
The grossest of the gross, a lot of whiskey. They all want to get so drunk that they throw up at midnight. That's like the big goal.
It's funny. I had to, spitting is throwing up. Mm-hmm. A spit. I had to remember that.
Where I come from, this is horrible. I grew up in a town called Ladysmith. They used to call it, to throw up, they used to say chunder.
Ooh, that's pretty bad. The Chunder Dome.
Chunder.
Yeah.
The Chunder
Enter the Chunder Dome. Yeah.
I don't like it.
We just call it a puke and rally is what that is. Yeah. You'd be like, go have a puke and rally. So you throw up in the bushes and you come back and you keep drinking.
I think a spit was a good choice.
Chunks.
Goodness.
That was, that's from Wayne's World, I believe. Pretty formative.
What's that?
People my age. Yeah, fine.
Just kidding. Yeah, so there's that. And then I guess this episode, what struck me is weirdly the similarities to Super Soft in this way where it's like, oh, Wayne and Katie were obviously neglected as children and they are so excited.
Their idea of Christmas is drinking liqueur alone.
But they love Christmas and they love giving gifts.
But
and
what
you
do they
don't fuck
love?
with
It's
tradition.
like, I know, I agree. If you choose to like family therapize Wayne and Katie, yikes.
Well, he's giving so many gifts. He's so generous in this episode. And his like little...
It's interesting. He's orderly and specific.
Yeah.
Generous is like...
He's like a king bringing people into his chamber.
There is something mafioso-ish about it. Like Santa as like paterfamilias. Like there's some, I don't know. Yeah.
It's very strange.
And all the gifts are
what I
things
love too, we're in a room we're never in before and we've never been in since. And I know what that is. I'm like, oh, that's the front of it's a thing that exists at the real house that we did build in the studio, but we never used until we needed, what I needed was to not have everybody in the same room all the time because I couldn't direct it otherwise. I was like, we have to figure this out. That's why there's those weird crosses.
Right.
And that's why there's, and I remember Jared saying to me, he was like, well, where's Glenn? And I was like, who cares? I was like, I have way too much to do. I can't just be an extra. Like, I can't just stand there with Coach.
Was there. I'm sorry.
No, I'm there when I'm there, but like, I can't just be part of these conversations where I have no dialogue. I was like, if I'm not talking, I'm not there.
Was sitting on Jared's lap the funniest scene to shoot?
Yeah. Well, you remember the bloopers of that shit, right? Because I squiggled in.
And then you gave your little thing a little toot.
I give a lot of toots.
I love that. I also like so much the part where you're talking about like, where's the card? My mom always says that's the most important. Like that little bit was
I thought that was improvised the way you did it.
I did. It is improvised. I just made it up. But like,
very funny.
Make him feel bad for not writing me a card. My mom always says that's part. That's polite. Everyone get a gift, but Not everyone can ride a really hot rail car.
Oh my God,
Doesn't matter.
the pitch pipe. Meh. Meh.
It's really funny.
It's so funny.
I made myself laugh.
Okay, this is good. I was going to say, when you watch yourself as Glenn, I don't know how you feel about this, but you watching yourself back where you're like, oh, I was really trying to do a thing. And you're like, yikes. But I feel like Glenn is so far from you and so fun.
That is a thing. Like Glenn is so far from me that I don't have the usual like vanity of like, I hate this. Why do I look like I know I look insane. I'm doing crazy things. No, you know, like to your point about earlier, like Glenn is a rich dessert. I think if you had him there all the time, you'd be like, that's enough.
That's enough.
You know what I mean?
I feel a bit sick.
It would just be like, that's a lot for every meal. Do I need that every night? I don't know if I need it every night. It's lovely to know it's happening once a week.
So no Glenn spinoff? You're not thinking it's not...
The Glenn off?
Yeah, like he goes on a mission.
That's not up to me. But no, I feel like he's in a category of like a Mrs. McMurray. Where you're like, that's why it's so great, because it's there for a total of 18 minutes a season. You don't want it to be, you know, like... The show with me and Melanie, I don't know if I'd watch that.
It'd be pretty full on, but I don't know. I mean, when you guys are doing, again, we're jumping around, but when you're doing the Chinese karaoke stuff, that's some of my favorite. The bloopers to that it's some of my favorite.
It's genius. It's absolutely like the fact that bitch showed up to work knowing that song.
She memorized a Chinese song.
She memorized a Cantonese karaoke
was it
song.
I thought it was Mandarin. I think she thought it was Mandarin.
What does she know?
She told me
Bless her. She's beautiful. She's an idiot.
We love you, Mel. You're the smartest girl I know.
She's the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she memorized the fucking song. And you know who didn't? Dan.
Whoa.
Oh, really? No.
He has enough on his plate. Come on.
He's a lot of kids.
He's got a lot of kids.
We were talking about this in a previous episode, like how comprehensible he is in the first season. I could hear every word he said. Mm-hmm. And then by season 13, he's like...
Well, he stopped learning his lines.
He's just on another
He just stopped learning his lines completely.
He just mumbles. And it works.
It does. It's doing its thing.
Yeah, did you ever change your direction style over the course of the seasons? Like, did you become complacent?
With Dan?
Because, well, for everyone.
It was always like, good luck.
Yeah, just like you just sort of, either you guys know how to do this by now or you don't.
No, I mean, I think that we developed into ultimately directing in the context of this is like making people feel comfortable, making them feel like they can make weird choices and be silly and do stuff and try stuff and whatever. And that was a little bit different with everybody. Like, you know, that with you guys, it was abusing Tyler. I can see your face, Evan. Yeah. Tyler and I did have a very, very specific antagonistic relationship where he loved to scream at me.
He loved to scream at you.
He loved to scream at me.
If somebody came on for a day, like a daily, and they were like working like in makeup just for the one day, and you'd hear like you from behind the monitor, okay, we're gonna go again, and then Tyler going, shut the fuck up, and the daily would turn white and just expect the like worst thing in the world is about to happen. You come running out. Yeah, you come running out, you give him a kiss on the lips.
Well, it was very flirty, actually.
Yeah, and I'd be like, oh, so you look fat, and then I'd run away.
Yeah,
and he would be devastated.
Because he worked out so hard.
No. Remember how many jokes I made about that? Where I was like, so when's that happening? When do you start working out?
He was so upset. He's eating nothing but chicken breast all the time.
Working out every day for 3 hours.
Just doing it for yourself, but nobody's noticing.
What were you going to say? What were you going to say? Jacob, do you even remember before I derailed you?
About how you direct people.
No, just like you do it differently. Like that's what really, like it's maintenance at that point, you know? Like it's like making sure everybody's comfortable and making sure everybody feels good and that you're trying to, it's less, you know, or like so occasionally it's like a specific thing, but usually it's more like putting everybody at ease so they feel like they can be silly. We're doing, you know, I mean, for God's sake, like we were also writing for you guys at the time. It was like, there's not a lot of specific direction to give in that way. Mm-hmm. For this show, it was like, I feel like we all knew the rules. Learn your lines. That's the big rule of Letterkenny, right? It's like learn your fucking lines because
like perfectly learn them.
Because it's also the show is rhythmic. So if you don't, you can't paraphrase, you have to fall into this patter or you're going to derail everything.
Yeah. Fall into this pitter-patter.
Patter.
And you could also just do what hockey did, right? And it's like learn each other's lines.
That did
and
happen.
just kind of go in whenever you feel.
And honestly, who's to notice?
I know. Well, it is still. I'm like, is that one Riley? Like the names.
I know that
because
now, but if you asked me, like, gun to my head, Dax and Ron, I'd be like, drawn. I don't know. They're both.
Yeah, they just blend together beautifully. Yeah,
they do.
No,
I mean,
it is.
wonderful.
I will say, working with different directors and stuff in different projects, what I love about the way that you direct, and I don't know if this
here
is
we
just
go.
Well,
Evan, we'll get to you later, Evan.
Yeah. You'll get your turn to suck up.
Yeah, to compliment me, in case that's not clear.
But I was gonna say, what I learned so much, like working with you, is like how much acting is. It's just so dependent on the actor having confidence, and so much of that is from the director coming in and being like, if something didn't work, not going like, okay, that didn't work. And then you shut the actor down and then it's just like a slippery slope. Instead, you'd always come in laughing and supporting. And even if you probably didn't like that take, you'd be like, that was great. Can we try one like that? Like you were super upbeat and you just kept the vibes high in a way that was really good for all of the day players, especially that came in. Like it made them feel like they had the confidence to be there, because especially over time, the Letterkenny thing became quite big and a little bit intimidating. Yeah. So I would assume those actors coming in, it's like stressful, and you always put people at ease, I think.
It's always stressful to be a fucking guest star. It's the worst.
Totally.
It's the worst. You're coming in and like these people already know each other, and they're like they're either gonna ignore you or they're gonna, I don't know. It's like there's kind of not, I'm not saying we did this. I think we all actually tried quite hard to not do it. And we often had recurring people. Like we had there's very few guest stars in the sense that like we often had people that would come back over and over again. And so they would develop their own core relationships. But just in general, being a guest star is a nightmare. Yeah. And to what you were saying, Michelle, A, thank you. I tried to do that. And B, I think it's really important with comedy too. Like you can't, snuffing somebody's flame out is never going to make them do something funny the next time.
Yeah.
And being funny does mean it's vulnerable. It's scary because you're being silly or you're making yourself look silly. And then also like, especially with like, I was going to say the girls, but like not just the girls. I remember doing this actually a lot with James and Greg, who played Dax and Ron, speaking of them, where it was making sure that, like, I was like, you look great. Like, I knew, like, they were in nothing.
Yes.
They're wearing nothing. And, like, and it's like, you have to make people feel, and I feel like there's a way to do that. It's always interesting because you're like, you can't be creepy, but you, at the same time, like, no actor's standing there in a fucking bikini wanting to be like, nobody's saying you look good either, right? Like, it's like, there's a halfway where you have to be like, you look awesome. Don't let anybody be weird to you, and be confident. Like, what the fuck's the point of wearing like those boys in their short shorts and their fucking barely their tank tops? It's like you both. I remember hearing them compliment each other once, but like just like I think it was like their second day or something, and they just talk to each other. They're like, "You look amazing, man. No, man, you also like I don't know what you've been doing, but like your arms." Like I was like, and somebody was like going over to talk to them. I was like, "Leave them alone for a moment.
This is their process.
Let them pump each other's tires.
Yeah. Oh,
it's gonna help.
Because I bet, you're like, well,
fuck yeah, it's terrifying.
You're shy. Of course you're. I mean, I can speak to this,
James
obviously.
Daly, like ridiculous. I would like that body on that.
I saw him 2 days ago. He was wearing like a suit, like
a vampire outfit. He's always playing a vampire, as far as I can tell.
And he like twinkled his eyes at me, and he was like, "Hi, Evan," and I was like, "Wow, I forgot how pretty you are."
He's glamoring you like a vampire. You're like,
he's incredibly
what castle do I follow you to, James?
Yeah. He's a prince. He is a classic prince. The first time
I met him, Disney prince who's a villain. He's a Gaston.
Yeah,
he's Gaston, but blonde, which is even more creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a creepy fuck, James.
You're creepy fuck, James. They're listening, James.
Well, I don't know if we'll keep this in, but the first time I met Dax and Ron, James and Greg, was at the wedding episode, and James and I were like shaking hands. Great episode. We were shaking hands, and then somebody accidentally bumped him, and his hand just went on my breast, and he's like, "Well, fuck." And he was,
is that what he said? That's amazing.
He's like, "Well, I just fully touched your breast. I'm so sorry." And we were dying, and he went white as a ghost. It was so.
He's already pretty fucking white,
but it was translucent. It was wild. I felt so bad for him.
So he went like Sarah Gadden, like here are my veins.
Could see all the veins.
All the veins.
Also, what's up, Sarah?
What's up, Sarah?
Who else we're gonna?
Okay, to come back to the episode, what I wanted to also touch on Christmas is we never had any actual intimacy on the set of Letterkenny. We talked about it a lot, but there was no touching ever. The only kiss I believe to ever happen on Letterkenny is between, of course, Roald and Stuart in the Christmas episode where you make contact.
Yeah. Oh yeah, full lip to lip, and then fall completely flat.
It was really funny.
No mats on the ground, by the way.
Of course not.
Well, I bet no one asked you to fall.
I bet no one asked you to fall, but you just did it.
No one asked me to fall. So
no one put a mat down for the fall. I decided to do fucking in that moment, you assholes.
Sorry. You're welcome for sacrificing my body.
You did. It was worth it.
It was worth it.
Talking about watching like your performance and being so critical, like this episode I was like, what are you fucking doing the whole time?
You're so
I had a
good.
question for you. You guys are great. I had a question for you guys though. By that I mean you and Tyler. Was this the first time? Because I couldn't remember when the started. Was it this?
Oh, I think so. I think
this feels like early on in the.
I think this is an early establishment.
Am I doing it justice?
You're perfect.
Almost
Yeah,
there.
you did all three. It was great. We can try right now, the three of us, but it might not go.
The lag. Are we doing it?
Let's do it.
Okay,
We'll get Connor to tighten that up.
Connor,
Tighten that up.
Yeah.
And then send it to me. I'm going to approve it. All right.
Yeah. That's actually, we have to, when we had Tyler on for the last episode, we're like, don't worry, we'll send you this first so that you can hear what you say.
You don't have to do that with me. I don't care.
Tyler was born with the PR brain, like because he was a child actor as well. He will not say things in interviews that he's not supposed to say.
Oh, I know.
So we're really pushing. We were really trying to go him.
Well, you remember what I used to call him, right? Canadian psycho. He has that fucking, like,
he's got that
like,
way about
hi,
him.
I've got business cards printed up on this kind of like. And let's be clear, because I know this is bone, like human bone. I love Tyler. I adore Tyler. He's one of the finest actors.
6 out of 10.
And I love him as a person, 6 out of 10. But I do love him. There's no one I enjoy making fun of more. And it's that kind of like Tom Cruise energy he has, where he's like, ha 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 ha, nice to meet you.
You're like,
all right.
Talking about like you made everyone else feel comfortable on set before they did something. Tyler was the only one you had to break down before he did something.
The one, he didn't want that. He wants negative attention.
Especially
so I gave
for
him what
Stuart.
he wanted.
Yeah, Stuart's
exactly. He wants Stuart. He wanted Stuart, and he is a bit methody in that way.
Tell me about it.
But then it would also translate. I can recall when I was playing Glenn. I mean, I never had more fun playing Glenn than with you guys, because when the skids are with Glenn, I think it's always super funny. I don't know if you guys remember this, but like I would end up kind of directing in that voice because I didn't want to drop out of it too much. To be like, we're going again, or like whatever I would do, I'd be like, action. I loved it, and which is I know is weird, but I also like had to just maintain a little bit because that was hard sometimes. But I would find myself like just like being like talking to him the way that Glenn talked to Stuart, like, I'm Stuart, oh God, Stuart, like just like I'm Tyler, oh God, Tyler, but he does love it. He wanted it. I sound horrible.
It was fuel for him though. Like he's so funny though on that podcast because we were just like, drop your shoulders, Tyler. You're with friends. We're not gonna like try to get you canceled.
This isn't a deposition, Tyler.
Yeah, like you're fine. You're also not a piece of shit, so like you're safe. Well, we had to edit some things out. We did have to edit some things out.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
What part of the South is Glenn from? You were doing the accent just now.
Deep South.
Yeah. I was like,
real deep. So he's probably from when I was 14. I did a movie in Georgia, and for like a long time, and I had to learn an accent, and so that's the one that I drift into naturally, which is technically Savannah, but I was trashing it up.
Savannah, like molasses coming off your tongue.
Savannah's actually real soft. But like it's adding like W's to your O's. It's a lot of that O. Like that
so
sound.
You can do
That's
a legit,
pretty.
Authentic one.
No, I've done it professionally a lot of times. And then I did a movie in Southern Illinois when I was like 19 for like another couple months, and I did a trashier. He's kind of more in that world. And Southern Illinois is great spot in the world. Trash. So it's not what it's like, it ain't Chicago. It's like, you're at the edge of like, we vacationed in the Ozarks.
Ooh, fun.
Oh, I would like to do that.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, I would. Because I watched the show and I really like Jason Bateman so much.
I don't think he's going to be there.
Okay. I don't. There might be another man who's dyed his hair like whatever that color is that he decided to do.
So you take like a
sandy brown.
Polish black or whatever, and he's like, I'm still 40. And you're like, you're not, sir, but you're a great accountant. I'm sure you and your lovely wife Laura Linney will be happy forever.
Ugh, Laura Linney.
What could go wrong here? What could go wrong? We have barely talked about this episode.
I know. I was going to say, I was like, wait, circling back.
Yeah, we could talk about a few more episode things.
Yeah, I was going to say the coach in this and the song Christmas Lover. Are we, so this is where it started. I know we talked about it a little bit, but like, why did it turn into a full music video that was never released? Because we released it on tour, but there's a whole music video to Christmas Lover.
I think it was too disgusting to release. Okay. Like, I think that there was a bit of quality control there. We were like, I don't know. Like
it's not for mass consumption. It's for the tour consumption.
Yeah, I think it's like a treat for, honestly, I don't really remember. Like, I know that we recorded that video. That was a Teddy Kim a joint. That was a Teddy Kim joint.
He gets shouted out in this episode.
He does get a shout out. I forgot about that. Teddy gets a shout out. Teddy Kim is the guy that shot the original YouTube clips. And he directed a bunch of the kind of like weirder, like in Election, the Burger King, what was the commercial? It was like whatever that weird
like
Election
Carl's
commercial
Jr.
was. Carl's Jr. Right. He would come in and direct like things like that. He directed Sundarts. He's directed things across throughout the entire run of the show, but he did Christmas Lover. So I'm not really sure what the scoop was. I mean, Mark would probably know.
Yeah, no, this episode is bizarre.
It's super bizarre.
I love
Mark was a huge standout for me. Hockey was a huge standout for me. And Dio's scene was super fun. Dio's scene was almost the closest to where Letterkenny was kind of going politically in a way. You know what I mean? Like in a way of like that kind of like what we love to traffic in, which is that like Wayne is surprisingly on the right side of stuff like that, where he's saying that because he knows you don't like people fucking with you while you're cooking and you're good at cooking, and like he would do that for a guy too. Like it's like the first scene threw me. The scene around the dinner, the scene around the dinner table threw me for a loop. I was like, why does she look like that? Why does it look like that? What's happening? And also, I feel like it just drops in. Like it's like there's no.
Completely. And then like the weird To Be Fair, which I know we would do.
Oh my God.
But we sing it and it's so deeply off. Well,
because you're trying to sing it like it's a Christmas carol. But you're all different. You didn't think you'd try again?
Whoa. Did we not get any other shot, or was that the point?
I believe you guys did that in ADR too.
What the hell happened there? Like, I guess they were like, this is funny. It's so weird.
What even was it to the tune of? Was it like
To Be Fair? But it was like
It was something, we had to find something in the public domain. It was like so to be fair, it had to be it was a little drummer boy.
I thought that one of my favorite parts of the episode was established at that opening scene, which is the little, this is gonna be the best party of all. Right? Anybody hear about that? Like that cute little smirk of this is gonna be the best party. Mm-hmm. I thought that was cute.
That's the inner child of Katie and Wayne being like so obsessed with these like little rituals that they clearly didn't, I guess, have access to for a long time, and so now they recreate.
Or they were traumatizing. Because the whole part of the point of it seems like, let's not remember this.
Because the alcohol.
Oh, it's a lot of alcohol.
Yeah, but you save it to the end.
Always there, though.
Okay.
You're not supposed to spit till the end of the night, okay?
Okay. See an Al-Anon, Evan.
Why are you such an enabler, Evan?
Well, I will say the three of us are, I think currently all of us are drinking as little, like less than ever, right?
Yeah, not drinking at all.
Although I did.
My skin feels great.
The night before last, I hosted a holiday party.
Halloween episode. That one's funny. Isn't it?
I know, it is
that
so
one's
funny.
wild. It's the only one that establishes canon ghosts.
You get possessed.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, that clip of the three of us, Evan, goes like, it doesn't go viral, but whatever. Like it's like it ends up on a reel or something.
You see it a couple million times.
Does it make me laugh? Holy shit, does it make me laugh?
That thing that he's wearing on his head, this like probably offensive head wrap of some kind that we don't even know.
One of my favorite Tina Fey lines of all time, when she goes, it's like referring to something that says, it's too confusing to be offensive. And I think that we like to traffic into that.
That line.
I have asked you several times before we shoot something. I'm like, I remember one in particular I was so worried about, and I pulled you aside and I was like, Jacob, is this offensive? Like, this is it? And you were like, no.
I remember. I know what you're talking about.
I was so upset about it.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And then there was the other time.
Was I wrong?
No, well, I talked you off the ledge too. Because you were like really rattled about the accent, right?
Yeah. Well, okay. So what it ended up, I mean, I'll just say what it was because it's kind of funny. It's the murder mystery episode when we're establishing all those tropes from movies, and you made me do the here from like a little
I didn't love that
boy
either.
from a different country, and I was like, okay, I'm Lebanese. I'm gonna be what's his name from The Mummy who's trying to bring. Brendan Fraser, here, like that was my mind.
Remember what we decided on? It's like not accent, it's baby talk, and that's what you leaned into. You didn't do an accent. You did like a little kid.
I think
voice.
you pulled that off.
Okay,
I agree with you that like on paper it was.
I was like, this is so like because I don't want to like this. I don't want anyone to feel like I'm making this choice to like insult someone.
Yeah, it was because the worst case scenario was Temple of Doom.
Totally.
That you're doing Temple of Doom.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Which is a gross movie.
The only other time I remember doing this is you also were very, very generous of being like, oh, if you really don't want to say that, say something else. I remember one time I was supposed to go, I actually identify as a woman. And then I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And you were like, yeah, you haven't done any work for that. Why would you say that? Say whatever you want. And then I was like, I actually identify as a wood nymph. And you were like, perfect.
But you did a bunch of other things too.
I did a bunch of them.
You did Hufflepuff. You did like a bunch of fun things. Yeah. There was a bunch of funny things.
But that was a good establishing. Like, oh, the script isn't gold. Like, it's not set in stone. Like, we can always manipulate something if we were not comfortable, or if there was something that we didn't.
The rhythm is more important than the content in that way.
Yeah,
100%. It's like there needs to be a joke here. It doesn't need to be that.
And I think what was so cool about Letterkenny is like you guys did really push it and find the sweet spot of like where things can get pulled off. And if somebody obviously felt uncomfortable or was like had a question, it was really on the table to rework it.
Yep.
Thank God. Because in a show like this, it's like, again, you do have to be flexible and things change so quickly too.
Yeah. And also like this show sings when it's sweet and when it's personal.
Yes.
It doesn't need to do the like, Professor Trisha's funny because Trevor makes it funny. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not because of the politics of it, like this show's funny because it cares about its other characters and it gives them all humanity. Like that's the ultimate thing. And like people have always said to me, like, what's the, I was like, never mind people. What I've always said is the only rule in Letterkenny is we don't like bullies. It's like, those are our skids. We can make fun of them, but we don't bully them. We don't pick on weak people, which is kind of the Alexander thread throughout of like, that's our weirdo. He shits in the turlet or whatever the fuck it is, but he's still in our town. We don't run him out of town.
I can't believe you did that. And just kept moving as if we...
No.
I toured with him.
Yeah, he's so funny. His stand-up killed me on the tour. I loved it.
I loved his stand-up.
And he was always so nervous and so sweet.
I know.
Did Jeff meet Brad Pitt?
No, he didn't. He didn't come.
No, he was too scared to come.
No,
I was going to say, I was like, I don't remember him being there.
No, he didn't. I would have absolutely.
Do you remember the hilarious thing that I told you guys that Brad Pitt said to me?
No.
Like as you guys were walking in, because like I went back to get him to like bring him back there, and then he turned to me at one point while you guys were all like getting in, and everybody was being weird because like of course fucking Brad Pitt's in there.
I pretended not to know him.
He's like the most famous person alive. It's
Did he say hi?
Insane that
initially?
He was there.
I was like, I'm not going to say
hi. He turned to me and he went like this. He was like, it's just so weird for me because I watch you guys on TV all the time. I looked at him and I went, and I did this. I was like, it's a bit weird for us too.
Yeah, are you kidding me, Brad?
You know.
Dude, when he was leaving, I remember I specifically was like, I don't want
in his flight suit.
Yeah,
like the
I didn't
jumper
want
he was wearing.
Well, he wore it because Daryl wears a onesie.
Yeah,
that's why he wore it. Yes, that's what he told me.
Yeah, he told me that too. I was like, that is so cute.
Yeah, he cosplayed.
Yeah.
Yes,
I was avoiding him because I was like, he's being harassed. Like, I don't want to be part of this. And as he was leaving, he like stops, turns back, and goes, "Hey, I just wanted to say I'm a big fan." And I was like, Evan. And he went, Brad. I was like,
and then you melted into the floor.
No.
I will say, I've never seen anyone as good at that as him, who's that famous. I mean, like, hey, I'm Brad. Like, he actually does it very well because we met a few other, won't name this person. We met a few other famous people that weekend. And one of them was really bad at it, like as bad as anything I've ever seen in my life.
It was wild.
Remember that person introducing himself to all of us twice?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. But can I just give the people some context? What we're talking about is when we went on tour, we were in LA, we did 2 shows in LA.
Yes.
And Edward Norton and Brad Pitt happened to be fans of the show, and they wanted to come to the show and then meet us afterwards. And we were all like, okay. And then
Edward Norton hosted us at his house.
We went to his home, and they hosted us for like a beautiful lunch in Malibu.
Beautiful home.
I took all my clothes off and ran into the ocean in my underwear.
His lovely wife, Shauna, who I'm obsessed
Because I was
with.
like, I'm in the ocean. This is we're on tour. I'm at the ocean. So
there were dolphins jumping.
It was so
like,
fun.
It was bizarre. And
that was crazy.
Yeah,
and they were lovely.
Lovely. And
Yes.
so like, I don't know, just really generous with their time. Brad Pitt sat in the middle of the crowd with a mask on and a hat and was just like totally there, like didn't go in his own little zone. Like he was just wanted to be there. And he just spent time with us backstage. He was so nice. And didn't he say that we were like the Simpsons characters to him? Because it's like,
yeah, something like that. Like that was the, like he was like
we're not real.
Yeah.
Like we're not real. It's like we're cartoons.
That's fair. We are cartoons.
Yeah.
This will not play on a podcast, but like the way that we, like Jared and I were out having a cigarette in the alley behind the show, of course, and this Tesla pulled up and the window rolled down and it was Brad Pitt, and he was like, hey, I can't even remember what he said, but he was something like, hey, where, you guys know where I go see a show tonight? Or like he made some joke and we were like...
like a dad joke.
Kind of. Like a bit of a like, oh, fancy meeting you. Blah, blah, blah. You know, and we were like, yeah. And we went to shake hands, and like something happened where I didn't take his hand. I ended up clutching his hand instead of shaking.
Didn't he try to give you a fist bump? And then
that's it. And I think I covered him or something.
Oh man, Jacob,
it was something horrible.
This is before the show?
This is before the show. And then he went away to park his car, and Jared and I were standing there, and we were like, should we wait for him? We were like, no. We like ran away inside to like get like,
it's like
he made us so nervous.
No, I do remember. I remember Jared coming into the green room after that, and being like, "I think we just saw Brad Pitt in the parking lot."
I think we talked to him.
He was trying to tell the story, but like in that Jared way. He's like, "I think maybe
he would be shockingly handsome if he wasn't that famous."
Sure,
he's both those things.
You know what though?
He's very disarming.
These are
like. Holy.
People. There's nothing that has like made me more aware of how just normal famous people are than that day, than those experiences of like meeting these people. I'm like, you're just a guy. Like at the end of the day, I know he's a famous person in a flight suit. You're a guy. And like when we went to Ed Norton's house, talking to his wife Shauna. And her mom, like that was when I was like, it started to get really weird because they have like family in Ontario.
Yeah, that's how they do the show.
Yeah, and they also like
they have a place in the Muskokas or something.
Shauna's been producing all of our favorite movies for the last like 20 years.
Yeah, she was Judd Apatow's producer.
Crazy. I was like, I watch Forgetting Sarah Marshall every time I do my laundry. Do you know how much laundry I do? Do you know how many times I've seen that movie?
That's insane.
I know. I've watched that movie like
3 times a week, I guess.
You do your laundry 3 times a week?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Once a day. No, I genuinely, that
I don't know. I
can't
can't even tell, like, what does he think is normal?
No, I don't know.
How often do you do laundry?
I send out for my laundry. I've never seen the movie. No,
she does?
Speaking of famous, holy.
No, I remember like that whole, like going there, doing that thing, meeting all these people, the whole tour. I was like, everyone's just a person. Like it's so normal. I don't know, it was like an ego death for like celebrity or something in some way for me.
Can I also just say though, with Brad Pitt coming into that green room, I also was hyper aware, and everyone in the room, like the cast and then some of the producers and stuff, like we're all in the industry, so to speak. And even if you weren't facing him though, your energy was like blasting at him. Like everyone and everywhere.
So you guys feel the exact opposite of me.
No, but let me
I
get
think
to
you're
my
insane.
point.
I don't even know what you're talking about. I can't relate to anything you're saying. It was like, that was Brad Pitt in there.
Yeah. And I felt actually really empathetic towards him and his experience just navigating the world. He could go to the littlest town in a tiny country across the world and they will know who he is. Everywhere he goes, people are staring at him and blasting him with energy. And that must be bizarre.
Blasting him with energy.
This phrase you decided to.
But don't you? But you know,
It's like he's Slimer in Ghostbusters, and we're like, all right, guys.
That's honestly what it felt like when I was in the green
Across the
room.
streams, you'll destroy Brad Pitt.
But it's honest. I was like, this is so insanely weird. Like, what?
You'll have to cut this, but you know the thing that I remember the strongest about that moment was.
I know. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I do remember.
In front of you, Jacob.
He's like, whoa.
Remember?
What?
Whoa.
The person you were talking about who was the worst was. Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, remember when he first came in, he was like, "So are you guys like an improv troupe or something?"
Yeah, it was very that.
He asked us that.
And this was like just before
Remember
that
before
whole
you got
thing.
Yeah.
Weird vibes. We have this one picture, this group shot of us with Edward Norton and Brad Pitt backstage. Yeah. No one shared that. That's the most Canadian thing too. We're like, no, we just kind of keep that to ourselves.
I had a picture, not to be that guy, I have a picture with just like the four, like me and Edward Norton and Brad Pitt and Jared, and I sent that to like my old friend thread because like I couldn't help myself. It was just like, look at this.
Yeah.
I mean, I did that with Maynard for sure. I sent that to all my boys. I was like, look, Maynard. Mm-hmm. For sure. So, Jacob, did you like the episode Three Wise Men?
Yes.
Perfect.
But I wish, I did wish I was watching the Halloween one. Like I did, like, or I feel like our specials got better. Like I feel like Easter's really funny. International Women's Day is really funny, and like this is funny. It's just like I think this is just largely director horror of just like, oh God, we shot this in fucking 10 hours. I could tell, and I felt as a director that I had failed multiple times over.
I will say,
but
no,
everybody's
as an
really
actor,
funny
it was
in
so
it.
fun. We had such a good time doing that weird, everyone playing in the same direction play thing. And there's so many videos of everyone behind the scenes, like doing the little heads poking out and stacked on top of each other.
That was fucking funny.
I love that.
That was funny. I forgot about that.
And you know what moment I also loved, which I remember this happening on set, and I know it's a moment involving me, so bear with me.
You're allowed to talk about your moments.
But when Gail, we were doing the scene with like Gail, and she just started playing with my hair like right before.
I saw that.
And I just
that.
slapped her hand away and we just kept moving. And she just kind of kept like sort of sensually touching my hair, which we never discussed. And Lisa.
Sometimes Lisa would just, I mean, like Lisa's always making amazing choices, but sometimes like the way she looks at other people.
No.
I'm like, she is playing an alien.
Yes. She is not
that's why
from
there's
this
something
planet.
inside of her trying to escape. That's why she's wriggling all the
She's
time.
moving like that.
It's like, no.
Yeah, I did. I loved this episode as well, and I think it's a very weird episode. If you do happen to smoke marijuana and you watch it, you're gonna potentially have a bit of a freak out, like we did. But like, this is the second time I watched it, and I was very sober, and I was like, oh, this is cute and strange, and kind of like encapsulates what Letterkenny is in a lot of ways, which is cute and strange.
Agreed. I mean, it's a weird fucking show, right? Like.
Yeah.
That's it. That's just
Wayne doesn't like any of these people and yet invited them all over to his house on Christmas and gave them all presents.
Yeah.
He tolerates them at best.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, what are Stuart and Roll doing there?
What is Hockey doing? He hates hockey more.
He hates them.
But he doesn't want anyone alone on Christmas. It's Christmas.
That's
nice.
true. That's what it is. It's sweet.
Yeah.
We are a cartoon. All right.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's get Jacob Tierney's love advice. Spare hearts.
This is my favorite part of the pod. I'm delighted.
I also wanted to.
No, my favorite part of the pod is when you guys don't remember what color my eyes are. But after that, it's giving love advice. You did not.
Blue.
You called them a deep poet's blue.
Poet blue.
Rococo blue. A rich blue.
Rich blue.
I thought they were hazel, but it's
He's
just
a
because
rich
I think
blue.
we look alike. But
We can't afford that song. We can't afford that song.
I mean, not to derail again, but do you remember the time you guys were supposed to say, the models were supposed to say, he's in Tubble, and they ran it by
Yes.
Taylor Swift's team, and they were like, that'll be $30,000, and you guys had to take it out?
Yep.
That was so annoying. Like, girl, you have enough.
I think, what more does she need? Take your private jet over to fucking...
It wasn't even... It was Tubble.
We should have done it. We should have like
done it. We should have just, like...
Sue us.
Come after the little show up in Canada. Come on.
Seriously.
Seriously, dude.
Seriously.
Yeah, anyways. Okay. Spare hearts. This question came in a couple days ago. Thanks again for everyone writing in. This is very fun for us, especially me, because I love learning about people's lives. And I get to like see their faces and their real names, and then I can like look them up on Instagram if I want to really.
Don't tell people that's what you're doing, you creep.
Well, I'm not sharing. I think they want to know.
Fewer people are going to send in questions now, for sure.
I think more people. Okay.
Those are the days.
Hey, Evan and Michelle, and I'm sure he would have said Jacob if he knew. Hey. Love the podcast. It's refreshing, reminiscing over past episodes through your stories. I definitely say, what's the frequency, Kenneth? And instead of what's your problem? So here's my issue. I'd say for a better part of 2024, my best friend and I have grown pretty close to the point that I've fallen in love with her. But I am terrified to let her know this because I'm even more terrified of possibly ruining what we've already built. We've been through hell and back and have stuck tight no matter what. We can tell each other everything, but I'm afraid to tell her that I'm in love with her. Help.
I mean, not that this does matter, but is the writer, do you know the gender? Is it a female writer or a male writer?
It's a man.
Not that this matters, but do you know if the writer is hot?
I haven't looked him up.
Because that would change. But I mean,
Evan.
If you're hot, you can tell anyone that you have a crush on them, and it's always well received. Generally, that's how I feel.
I mean, this is interesting because
from personal experience, I know that it can still go sideways, and I am gorgeous.
Well, I was going to say the last episode we talked about male and female friendships and how they can totally exist, and it's really great. And there is it is a bit of a delicate dance when you're like, I'm in this friendship as a platonic friend, potentially. You do run the risk of being like, well, wait, what was all of this bullshit? Like there is a little bit of that risk. Is like, because intimacy is tricky and friendship is very intimate, and it can be like, I do think that you have the potential to have somebody be like, I feel betrayed by this. Yes.
Even though that might not be fair, but like there is an element of like, oh, have you, every time I fall asleep in your lap on the couch, or you think, like that kind of.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you're falling asleep in my lap. Yeah.
Well, you know what I know, but like.
No, I completely agree. It's like, it is a weird. Yeah, Evan,
you've fallen asleep in my lap.
I know. And I know you're thinking about it.
And also you are.
And woken up.
Okay.
All right.
I will say, I personally think that you can be friends with someone, have a crush on them, have a relationship, and then also still go back to being friends. Like, I think it's all possible. I know you say, but I haven't. I don't want to say plenty of friends like that, but I definitely have more than one.
I have an elephant graveyard of friends that I had a crush on.
Yeah, because all my friends, I think all my friends are gorgeous. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just like me looking through rose-colored glasses at everyone I know and love. Like, I think you guys are gorgeous. At some point, I probably want to kiss you, and then maybe we kiss, and then it's like, and then I'm like, oh, that was horrible. Like, we should not have done that.
Now
like,
we're bad kissers. What has happened?
No, but do you know what I mean?
Hey.
Like you can fall in, like you can fall for a person, like a friend, and like someone you're like attracted to, because attraction is this kind of malleable concept. It's not like I want to have like children with, you know what I mean? It's not that. So, okay, I'll shut up. You know what? I'm looking at your faces. I'll take a walk. You guys answer the question.
I'll anecdotally say this. One of my closest friends, who you guys both know and are friends with too, Brendan Brady, who was one of the producers of our show, his fiance, they were friends for years before they became a couple, and they were very good friends. And so there is room for that to transition. There is room for that transition to be a thing. I think it's like you gotta, but it's a delicate dance, and you've gotta. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful with the other person's feelings, I think, which is like, you'll feel vulnerable, but I think you actually have to put the care onto the other person so that they don't feel like shocking them or like suddenly giving them the impression that you've been looking at them a different way this whole time, that they didn't want to be looked at necessarily.
Yes. He also says that they're best friends.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot. Like, it's one thing to have a friend that and then like a crush happens, and that can feel a little bit more understandable almost. But if I had a heterosexual male best friend who I was extremely close with and shared things with, and then all of a sudden he looped around and said he had a feeling, like romantic feelings for me, it would, unless I felt the same way, I think it would be very hard to recover. And that's the risk you run. Like, it's just...
What I would love to know from this person is there a third party you could run this by?
Yeah.
And be like,
knows
hey,
both of you.
Yeah, be like, is this even on the radar of it? Like, has this pinged and been dismissed? Or like just some way of knowing if this is an out of the blue situation, or if this is like, oh yeah, she did say once, like, oh, if all, in another world we'd be a great, because like,
yeah,
people do like often mistake best friend as couples though, like that. People do that all the time, and I will say it is the dream for a lot of people that your best friend does become your partner. Just because, why wouldn't your partner be your best friend? Like on some levels, right? Like it's you want to laugh and joke, and that's all a best friend really is. It's just with kissing as well. Like intimacy is, again, not to go into a huge thing about how intimacy is this malleable concept.
The fact that you're a married man just shocks me.
No,
Kissing.
No, and the thing is, I'm married to like the perfect person for me. Like Alana is this like we both occupy a very unique space in the grand scheme of like gender archetype and like things. Like I am not the typical male person, and she's not the typical female
can barely
person.
Even say it.
No, exactly. And so like we operate in this world, and I'm like, we found each other. We didn't start as friends.
But you didn't start as friends.
It's true. We didn't start as friends. She saw me and was like, that guy's so hot. He's amazing.
She just couldn't. She was like, take it off.
Take it off. I actually was saying Hero by Enrique Iglesias as the first thing she saw me do.
How could she resist?
Exactly. I was crawling around on the ground, doing like a cat, like a kitty cat, like a puma, doing my like shoulder blade walk.
She's a special girl.
I know. I'm really lucky that I found someone.
I feel like you're revealing too much about her right now.
Probably. My bad.
Connor, cut this out.
Look up for Alana, please.
Alana sues this podcast. She's like, you've been a bad kitty. You better cut that out. I think that the third party option is your best. Like, if you want, like, in terms of practical advice here, this needs to see the light of day in some capacity. And then you need to decide, maybe it's worth the risk for you, maybe it's not. But I would say that, like, if you going into this blind is tricky and delicate, but no matter what you do, I think you have to think about you have to delicately position this. And I would say opening with, I'm in love with you is a lot. Maybe like, I've developed feelings for you. Have you ever thought about, I don't know, something?
Yeah, a bit more neutral.
Sex is a big deal. And if you've been that close for that long and that hasn't come up, there might be a reason why it hasn't come up.
That's actually a good point. Like if it hasn't just happened one time, or like some kind of like something takes over and it's just never even been... Like, this is just I have to know more details of like the little moments, obviously, that only you would know. I just, again,
we need to watch this rom-com.
I was going to say, you should watch, you guys should watch Drinking Buddies together and see, and then like, it'll bring up the question even
and just
without.
stare at her as you're watching
just be like,
it.
so what do you think about the movie? Did you relate to that movie at all? Like,
that creepy side look, Michelle, thank you.
Show her a series of films where best friends falls in love. When Harry Met Sally.
Did that make you horny?
New Year's is coming up.
Hey, did you like that?
It's Always Been You.
Or that relation, or the episode of Seinfeld where Elaine and Jerry get back together, which is so weird.
Ew,
so weird.
I know, haunting. Talk about haunting episodes of television.
They get over it.
Yeah,
they do.
Remember this,
and that's
that,
a real
and
couple.
The other, and that's a documentary.
And that's a real couple.
Couples therapy with Jerry and Elaine.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus is amazing.
Louis?
Julia Louis-Dreyfus,
yeah, it's French.
It's Louis?
It's Louis.
Are you just being a French guy though right now?
No, it's her. She's French.
Is this like Ratata again?
Isn't she
Watata?
French royalty?
She's like a French billionaire heiress.
Yeah.
Watata? Watatata?
Don't.
What's it called?
Don't. Watatata.
Watatata. Sorry, I missed a ta. I'm sorry.
Yes, I do happen to speak French, but I know that it's Louis Dreyfus.
Louis Dreyfus?
That is her fucking name.
Wait, that was good.
Moi, je parle un petit peu français. No.
Sound.
All right.
Oui, je sais, tu parles un petit peu de français, mais en fait, elle s'appelle Julia Louis Dreyfus.
Julia Louis Dreyfus. She grew up in Victoria. She can't speak French. She can't speak French.
Just staring.
Skip over this.
Shit.
I agree with Michelle. We need more detail.
And because we're not getting them, I would just say, like, as a woman,
Let's speculate endlessly. Yeah.
As a woman who has male friendships, I think there is always this kind of like fear, to be totally honest, that the guy is gonna like fall in love with the girl, and it's like, stop it.
I've had so many people fall in love with me though, where I'm still friends with them. And they try to kiss me or they kiss me and I'm like,
Evan.
no, it's not worth. No, I'm just saying it goes both ways and it's okay.
Tyler 4 times.
And it'll be okay no matter what. Yeah, it is Tyler each time. But it's a new season, so it counts different as a new person.
I'm just saying be mindful of that dynamic.
No, you have to be mindful of the other person 100%.
Yeah.
Have either of you guys watched Woman of the Hour?
Not yet.
The movie that Anna Kendrick. First of all,
it's
fucking amazing. I cannot tell you how good I think this movie is. She directed it so well. And
Anna Kendrick directed it?
She directed it and she stars in it. And
shit.
it is, what is so amazing about it is that it's entirely about, so it's about the serial killer, and it's about like this famous serial killer who was on the dating game, right? And she plays the woman who's a contestant who picks him. But she's also an out of work actress in LA. And it is essentially every exchange she has with the man is a series of, it's violent. Like, and this is from a friend. One of the best scenes in the movie is her buddy, who's her neighbor. They go out for, like, she's had a terrible day. She fucked up on audition. She goes to a drink with him at the bar, and he essentially says he wants to fuck her. And
I auditioned for this scene, and I think I gotta call him back.
Sounds about right. It comes completely out of the blue for her, and she's horrified. But she immediately goes into making him feel better. Because he's so hurt that she doesn't think of him this way. Yes. And she has said to him prior, you're my only friend here. Like, you're the only friend I have. And he violates that without meaning to, but he violates it. And then the brilliant thing is the next cut in that movie is her getting out of bed. She's fucked him because she made that decision that I think we all have made at some point in our life of like, this is easier than the other. Right? Like, this is the way to get, I don't want this person to stop liking me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to ruin, you feel like you're the ruiner when it's the other person doing the ruining.
You have to caregive this situation.
You have to make them feel okay because the most fragile thing in the world, and I can say this as a gay man, is another man's ego. And so it's like, if you want to keep him, you don't want him to be embarrassed because embarrassing a man is to provoke his violence and his rage. Correct. And that's what this movie, anyway, not to just make this, but this movie, if you keep this in the pod, Woman of the Hour, directed by Anna Kendrick, I cannot recommend it highly enough. Just as really a small scale masterpiece. It's exquisite from beginning to end. But like in the sense of as the guy in this, from her, don't put her, you have to be ready for her to be honest with you. Because you might not like what you hear. Mm-hmm. And she might not like that you're saying it. And she's allowed to not like that you're saying it.
Yeah, you definitely can't have expectations in this situation.
No, and don't go in big with I'm in love with you. That's also, that's a tidal wave. Take a deep breath on that. Yeah. And be like, have you ever thought about, I don't know.
Yeah,
there's a way to bring it up.
Completely sweetie pie so that she doesn't tap into any part of her that makes her feel like she has to manage. Because women, I'm generalizing.
That will ruin your friendship.
Yes,
that will ruin your friendship.
And women do this. There is a response to men, and I can speak to this, where it's like you do fawn because you're afraid that you've hurt a man and then like it perfectly put that you're going to provoke the violent side in men, which is so real. And men don't remember this. And it drives me crazy. Like I've been in this situation, in this exact situation where I was like, I do not want to be put in this position, but now I can see all over your face. And not only do you have an expectation, but you're hurt that I would even question it. And so now I have to go into overdrive in making this okay. And then also making it okay on the other end so that everything's like totally neutral. And it's so much fucking labor. And women get put in this position all the time. And it's so it's just something to be incredibly cognizant of. Yep. And if you're like exactly you said, Jacob, like no like alone in a dark room conversation. Don't try to kiss her. Don't hold her hand.
And don't no like, touchy. Don't come in big. A light touch will serve you much better in this. Maybe she feels the same way, which would be lovely and dreamy and delightful. Maybe she's been waiting for you to say this. I doubt it though.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like if
he just looked you up and you're not hot enough. Sorry.
No, you're
it's
gorgeous.
just not gonna work.
You're gorgeous.
I did not look, sir. This is a podcast. I did not look you up. Evan's being mean.
I'm being mean.
And if I did, I'm gonna DM you and be like, send nudes. No, I wouldn't do that either.
Where's the dick pic?
Where's the dick? Just kidding. Feet. But no, this could go sideways so many ways.
Yeah.
And I think that like it is very listen to what Michelle said and think about this from her point of view, and then think about the way that women feel like they have to manage men and their expectations and their vanity, because she's not going to want to hurt your feelings. And if you don't want to be managed and kind of patronize, I don't know. There's a lot of ways this could go into ways where she does not feel like she can be honest with you anymore, because if she's going to worry about hurting you, there's just a lot. Find another friend to talk to about this. I would say if you have any mutual friend, talk about this.
Yeah.
Then think about what you're going to do.
Yeah. And just super like touch on it and give her all the space she needs to ask questions. And especially if she has a response where she's like, what? Like, I didn't clock this at all. Like, allow her and completely take ownership of it just coming from you, and feel open enough to like redirect back into friendship in a way that she's going to be comfortable with. Like, it is a
what's
bit
on
of
Evan's face right now, though?
What's happening?
I'm trying so hard not to do the thing that I want, like to be like, when's the next wedding in your life? Take her as a date to the wedding, and because this isn't real advice.
We're not.
Yeah, but I'm not a therapist. I'm an actor. I'm gonna give you bad advice. Go to a wedding with this person, dance, have a glass of wine.
Your advice kind of is going to like manipulate, lubricate with alcohol, see what happens.
Watch any sitcom and just do what they do in sitcoms, because man, that stuff always works on TV.
Nobody listened to Evan for sure. I also will say, Evan, you are a particular breed of man where you
are a bit of a soothsayer in that way. Like, you can get away with murder.
Exactly, because you're incredibly, like, to give you some credit, you're incredibly checked in and empathetic in a way that, sorry, not a lot of straight men are. In my experience, you have a quality where you can read somebody and you're not going to make somebody feel freaked out. Like, you're very good at that.
And you have female friends. You're used to talking to girls as friends, which I think a lot of straight male aren't. But hopefully this person has that experience as well. Because if they have an opposite sex best friend, like, then like maybe you're good with, maybe you are good at picking up cues. And if you are,
I just hope they have more than one.
Trust your own gut. Like, trust your own. If you're like, I don't think she feels this way, she probably doesn't.
Yeah. Because women also are able to look at men and not be into them. And it's a little different for straight guys, I will say. In my experience, I'm always like, Jesus. And the Letterkenny guys have been a great experience for me to kind of break that mold where it's like, I do have these platonic male friendships in this lovely way that I don't think exists all the time, unfortunately. And so we just all have to be a little bit aware of that.
Yeah. Like, Tyler's horny for everyone, so you don't ever feel that energy directly at you. Yeah. I mean, and he's the most horny for Jacob Tierney. Let's just call a spade a spade.
Horny. His rage boners for me.
The tension on that set was palpable.
When will they kiss?
Won't they? Are they kissing?
Kiss.
I just had a weird image, and I don't know why, but I remember you telling me you like to play this game with Emily where you're in a pool and you carry each other and one person's the baby and then you get to switch. And I just had an image of you holding Tyler in a pool.
Game.
So this is
the game.
To be clear, just to make this doubly embarrassing, this is Emily Hampshire, star of Schitt's Creek, who is one of my best friends.
Love you, girl.
We go on vacation together every once in a while, and we play a game in the ocean called Now I Am the Baby. And
what you do is game again.
In the water, there are no rules. Well, there's only one rule. What you do is you jump into the other person's arms and you make them hold you like this, and you go, "Now I am the baby," and you kind of say it in an Italian accent.
Yeah.
And then you get to switch. And when you switch, when this person goes into your arms and they say, "And now I am the baby."
I am the baby.
I'm the baby.
Do you feel healed when it happens? Like, is it like a healing thing?
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I bet it's nice.
It's pretty funny.
I think it's really intimate and sweet. And that's a great example of
two people that have not had sex. That's a great example of two people who are not fucking.
If you guys can get through I Am the Baby game together,
oh boy, that is not a good sign.
You're not gonna.
Then you're not. There's no sexual energy.
It doesn't usually escalate to physical intimacy after that.
Really? With you and Emily? That doesn't go there?
No.
Interesting.
Though we once in a movie played a brother and sister who fuck, so that's disgusting.
Oh no.
Is that how you met?
That's how that's how Tyler and Emily met.
That is how Tyler met his wife.
Yeah, they also played siblings who FUCKED'd.
Why can't you say it? It's so much weirder.
I don't know.
It's like you think there are children in the room while we're talking about this. You're like, here's the part I don't want them to.
I am the baby. I don't want to.
I can't hear that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Hollywood's weird.
Yeah, this is
give us
Canada,
another
by the way. But Canada's weird. Yeah,
Canada's weird. Showbiz.
One more.
Okay, one more question. Okay. Hold on. Wrap it up for this guy. Well, I find another question.
Ask another person. That's also wrap it up.
Definitely wrap it up.
Or find out if she's on the bill. What? No, I would say yes. I think that the soundest advice could be beyond you have to be empathetic to this other person, the woman, is find another person and talk to them about this that knows her.
Totally. Or get a quill and a feather. And
whatever's coming out of his mouth, don't
scratch Shakespearean text to her, professing your love.
Are you a hunchback? Do you have a handsome friend?
Hire
Are you a very good
villain
writer?
to try and rob her and punch the villain in the face at the last moment and save her. And the heightened adrenaline will cause a big kith.
Oh.
Evan just wants to cosplay movies for people. That's all he wants. Oh, I have an idea. Go back in time. Try to avoid fucking your mother.
This is great.
That's Back to the Future, guys.
It sounded too good to be true.
That is Back to the Future. That is a weird
Back to the Future.
part of
you go back in time, your mother wants to fuck you with a going out of style, and you have to get out of the way so that she can fuck your dad so that you can exist.
You can be born, yeah.
And you're
so
like,
you are
my
like,
mom's kind of cute.
Being like, don't you want to fuck? Hey, not dad, wink, wink. Don't you want to stick it in that one?
Yeah.
Should the three of us have a movie review podcast?
Actually,
yes. And we only review movies with this kind of theme attached. And there's many.
There's many. We can find this a lot of places.
Oedipus. What's a play on the word Oedipus?
Okay.
I don't want to do that.
It's too easy, Evan.
Oedipus?
At a podcast.
At a podcast.
Hey, welcome to the Edipod.
The Edicast?
Seeing as it's the Christmas special episode of Spare Parts, we're actually going to do another question for you guys.
Oh my.
So this is exciting. So here we go.
It better be a Christmas-themed question.
It's supposed to be a two-parter.
It's not.
Oh, boo.
All right. Hello, Michelle and Evan. Big fan of the show. And Jacob, of course. But he doesn't know that. He's going to be so thrilled. I've been married for 2 years. And before that, my wife and I lived together for 8 years. We always said we were basically married by the time we tied the knot and didn't think anything would change between us. Our first year of marriage was definitely blissful. But this second year, we have argued more. And it's been a real challenge in our relationship. It mostly comes down to us struggling to communicate with each other and being reactive to how the other person is feeling. My wife and I are fiercely devoted to each other, so we are definitely not on the point of considering a divorce. My question is from 2 people in long-term, 3 people in long-term relationships. What are ways you guys have found to communicate more effectively with your partner? And any tips, exercises, or books on this topic would be great. Love the podcast. Can't wait to hear.
I like ring dips.
I knew you were going to say something stupid.
I mean, this is a very
Evan, you're a married man.
Question.
You're the only one of us who's married. What do you? Did you notice? Did something change? Because you guys had been together. You'd been together a hot minute before you got married.
A couple years, 3 years, 4 years.
3 years.
Like
there you go.
Yeah.
Sure, 3, 4 years.
No, I've noticed that my wife and I, we argue about. Like, she's much more reserved and she's like very insular. Like, she thinks a lot and she like comes up with what she's about to say over time, having thought about it. Whereas I just, blah, 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 right? Like, you guys know. So our biggest issue is like me waiting or being able to wait long enough for her to formulate the thought. So if she's upset with me for something, like let's say I didn't do the dishes and it's getting a little messy around the house, she kind of just like internalizes. So we've had to work on me being like, it's okay if you don't know exactly how to say it. You're not going to hurt I'm not going to get upset. I'm not going to be mad. Like, I have to, like, you tell me the dishes are, and I'm fucking up and we'll have a conversation about it. So I feel like for some people, it's like, communicating more. Oh God, this is such a hard thing to discuss, but it's like, it's more like she has thoughts that she's afraid to share with me because she's worried about my violent male reaction because of men and the histories of men and men being bad. And
because you're creepy.
I'm a creepy fuck. And so there's so much unlearning that you have to do in a relationship and so much learning about how that person communicates or how their thought process works. And I think the first couple years of a relationship, you guys kind of like tiptoe around each other. There's a lot more kind of like forgiveness. There's a lot more, it's okay that we didn't have the exact right conversation on that topic. It's fine. It doesn't really matter. But as the years go on and you're thinking about starting a family, you get a dog, things that are more responsibility, a mortgage, whatever, those tiny discrepancies start to pile up and become like, oh, maybe we need to like hash this out. And enough time has passed now that they become more difficult to talk about. Because it's like, well, you never told me that you didn't like this? Like me not doing the dishes at night? Why wouldn't you fucking tell me that? And it's like...
I mean, I was going to say the only advice that I would really have is that the communication needs to be regular. Because it can build up so easily. And I think of that that has to become part of upkeep, I guess is what I mean there. And I have trouble with that because I tend to be a person who's like, I'm fine. It's okay. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not. And I let this bottle up and that's my bad. But I would say that like, my boyfriend's very good at this, which is checking in on the reg. And sometimes like it can make me like, I'm like, stop asking me how I am. But I'm like, he's right too. Like I'm not, that's right. And I'm wrong. And the regular thing does that. I think it's the worst stuff is stuff that builds because then it is an explosion, correct pronunciation. Yeah. And you can't, and then you can go long, you can go deep, you can go into all this shit that you don't need to. Yeah. And you're dealing with accumulated feeling that is more powerful than the current moment.
Well, you're like building a case against somebody instead of breaking it down and
that's
making
a great way of putting it.
Not feel so. Also, not everything, and this is something that I have to deal with too in myself, is like I will take things really personally. And I don't like, even just like if using dishes as an example, to your point, Evan, like if like something small like that, I will take so personally. And that's actually my work to do, to be like, I trust that my partner has my best interest at heart and isn't attacking me as a human. It's just, there's something that's like, so I think it's also learning how your partner communicates and learning how to like maybe approach them and thinking about their instincts as well as yours, which is hard. And it takes a long time to learn somebody.
I mean, I think that something you said that's very smart is, in general, a great rule for life is if you cannot take something personally, fucking don't.
Oh, yeah.
Don't take things personally. They almost never are.
Never. Yeah.
It's almost always about the other person. It's almost never about you.
Yeah, but unfortunately, even though it's not about you, not doing the dishes affects you because then all of a sudden
No, but I think
space
to Michelle's
is,
point, Connor, I'm going to say his name. Connor not having done the dishes. I'm saying it right out loud.
Yeah.
Connor not having done the dishes is not an attack on Michelle. Of
course
it's
not.
like that's Connor being like either forgetful or negligent in this moment. But it's not like to make that into a thing of like you did this because you think I'm going to do it or whatever the way that goes. Like that's actually not that.
It is. Yeah.
And if you have a
It's hard not to though. Yeah.
I think that agreed, but it's a thing you have to like. I think you have to learn a lot. And as somebody in recovery, and I will full disclosure that's a huge part of it is like your side of the street, right? Which is like if you cannot take something personally, don't take it personally. It's not personal, and you're absorbing something and you're making something about yourself, and it's not, because it is a kind of a narcissism as well. It's like this isn't about you. And this person exists on their own. This person, not everything this person does is a reflection of you, no matter how intimate you guys are. So you take care of you, and you can air your grievances. And agreed, when you live with somebody, especially petty grievances, 100%. Who's kidding who here, right? Like that's a thing. But like I think to the point of regular communication, don't let it build up to a thing that it isn't, because then you've made it again. You're making it a thing.
Yeah, and allowing somebody, especially your partner, to be like, to have bad days, to be grumpy, to be off, and not being like, what's going on, trying to like interrogate or investigate them. It's like, that is a tricky thing with, I know.
It's really hard for me.
Have you seen this thing of this woman talking about like the lie of the 50-50? No. That like a relationship is not 50-50.
Oh, it's
like some days relationships are like 80-20. Like that's the point, is that you have to be able to, if someone else is 20, you got to be able to bring 80, right? Like that's the way you survive together as a duo. It's not assuming everybody's always meeting at the same point, because that's not life. Some days you're feeling low, some days you're feeling high, some days you have more to give, some days you have less to give.
Yeah.
Totally. And the more responsibility you have in your life, like that's external to you guys, the more that starts to feel like, there's 120% to do. Like if you have kids or something, like having a dog, I know you guys both have had dogs by yourselves at certain points, which to me is like, I don't even know how you guys do that. Like having a dog with my wife, I'm like, oh my God.
We're both really good people.
We're really good at life. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're quite high functioning at it.
I always do say you guys both always have it all figured out. That's something I always say. So. Yeah.
You heard the part where I said I was in recovery, right?
Yeah.
So, I tried.
Pretty proud of you.
Thanks. But yeah, I mean, like, I do think that the expectation game is so dangerous, and especially silent expectation. Like, if you want something, you kind of got to ask for it. And
to get to this question, like, they've been together for a long time, so sometimes we get into patterns with people that we assume we can't break, and all patterns can be broken. All of them. And so you can reapproach a relationship from a different perspective. Maybe you work with a counselor. Maybe you just bring it up.
Counseling's not a terrible, like what? Like no. that can be thrown in there. That's, two of my closest friends were together for a very long time, and they started marriage counseling. And I remember talking to the woman in the couple about this, and she was like, we had 10 great years and then we had 2 shitty ones. And I was like, let's fix this. We're not throwing this away. We had 10 great years. We had 2 years where we just seemed to be at each other all the time.
Right.
But we're not flushing this down the toilet. So let's work on it and try to get back to it. And then they got back to it, and now they're great, good as gold, That's amazing. And so like dealing with these problems as like taking this seriously, like, and dealing with it for real, not a terrible thing either. If you have the resources, if you have the ability to do some kind of counseling, I think counseling with a real person is better than a book. Like maybe I'm a bit of a snoot about that, but I'm like, don't read a book. Like, I mean,
who's reading?
I mean? Come on, nerd. You're gonna read a book. You're gonna put a bookmark in it.
You're gonna put it. Oh yeah, he's gonna go to the library. Watch a show and go talk to a person.
Why don't you become a vegan? Maybe that'll fix it, nerd. Do some counseling.
Yeah. But communication is like the hardest thing. And I think it always, for me, it took me a very long time to be able to speak up in relationships, because I was absolutely classic case of somebody who was like building up all these little things I didn't like and then numbing out and going, goodbye, I'm done. Yep. And that's insane. And that's so unfair. And obviously the relationships weren't working in general, but like my growth internally with relationships, business relationships, friendships, is being able to voice something in the moment, and ideally when you've taken a breath and you're not going to come at somebody and make it this big explosion. It's like Alana's probably pretty smart for taking a beat and kind of like, and you're lovely for not.
She's definitely smarter than Evan. We've met her.
Way smarter than me. No, that's the thing is like everyone has different stuff they need to work on. My thing is I have to work on shutting the fuck up. Like,
right.
Letting her get a
Jacob and I going,
No, like I remember one time we were driving back from like a wedding or something like that, and we were having a conversation, and I don't know if I like asked a question, and then she started answering it, and I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. And I was like, and then she was like, stop. I was like, what? She's like, I need to like say the thing, and we had to have a conversation about how sometimes I just can't fucking shut the fuck up. In a real way, like not in a mean way, not in a very real, like my brain moves differently than hers. Yeah. It's very quick and hers is very slow. She's stupid.
She's very slow.
No, she's just
Speaking of go to the library, am I right?
So thoughtful.
She can't read.
She can't read, illiterate.
She can't read.
She needs to she processes and she doesn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. So she has to really formulate her thoughts. I have such faith in my own. I'm like, I'm never trying to hurt anyone's feelings, so I can just say whatever I want.
The confidence of a white man.
Exactly.
Literally.
Exactly. No, and it's brutal, and I'm reminded of it constantly. So I'm gonna get some Vyvanse and figure it out.
No, but that is like, it's learning your partner and then learning the type of, because we're all mirrors to each other, right? So you really will, by being in a relationship, I always think it's like, being single is a lot easier, way easier, because you just get to like walk around your house going like, yeah, I'm like nailing it. I'm like pretty right all the time. Whereas when you're with a partner, you're just like, oh, I see myself and I'm not liking everything I see, and I have to now look at that. And
you like being single, eh?
I think being alone is easier for a lot of people.
Yeah, I have a very different experience with singleness. It's me walking around being like, I am terrible. I'm eating French toast again for my third meal.
I don't like being single. You know this. Obviously, but I know that a partner is good for me, as I think it is for a lot of people.
Definitely
to kind of becoming a better person.
Yeah, because it forces you out of yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Again, it's the part of that is adjacent to the don't take things personally thing of like, part of the reason you don't take it personally is because not everything is about you. And one of the things, the most important muscles you can flex is that you have to work on is empathy and listening and, and listening to another person and really listening to them. And I think that's part of, not to psychoanalyze Evan, because God, who would want to start?
Yeah,
but the talking too much can be like a kind of a panic and a way of just like not having to listen, right? So there's a thing of like, you can't listen if you're endlessly, no matter how smart and intuitive you are, because I do know that Evan is very smart and intuitive and very good with people. But I think that like in the shut up, Evan. The partnership thing, I think that there could be a thing where it's like, even if she is heard, I don't feel heard because you don't stop talking.
Yeah. And then take the new lesson in. Like, and the thing is, Alana and I have worked a lot at stuff because, again, we've been married a couple years now. I know how she likes to live. Like, I understand more about how she likes to live than ever before. And even last night, we had a really, really long, interesting conversation about walking the dog, because she walks the dog a lot more than I do. And part of that is because she can never ask for help. And she's like, I don't want to ever feel like I'm asking you for help, though.
Well, I think that's a very common thing of like, I want you to know that I want you to do this.
Totally. Yes. And then I'll be like, I'm going to take the dog. And she's like, well, I'm already standing. Like, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, there's it's like, I can't help unless you let me help. But also it's not help. It's just me doing my part. Like the thing I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, being a participant in this life.
Yeah, it is an interesting domestic thing. I think all three of us live with our partners. Basically, do you guys officially live together, you and Connor?
Yeah.
Like it's like that is an interesting balance of like, I don't want to have to ask you to do the thing, but that also means if we're dividing stuff, it's not all going to get done on my timeline. You know what I mean? Like, and if you're the
that's a
person who's
hard
like,
one.
oh God, I have.
God, that's hard. I'm a timeline.
Me too. How long are those dishes gonna be there? I know.
As long as it takes, because guess what? I don't. It doesn't affect me the same way. I look at dishes in the sink.
This is why we got divorced, Evan. But
And this is why Jacob and I would be incredible life partners.
Oh, the house would be so clean.
Spotless.
See, the house is clean.
The dogs always walked.
It's just everything's
no
in
touching.
a corner.
No touching's going on.
No weird
not even
stuff.
a hug.
No weird
But
stuff. No, good with hugs.
She has a note on the board right now that says "Clean your rat nest" because I put like
is that
three,
to you?
Yeah, I put 3 bathrobes in the corner of the room with like my writing box. Like I have like all of my writing in a box, and it's all in a little pile in the
box?
All of my ideas go in a box.
God, you are so
That
crazy.
is a rat nest.
And it looks like a rat.
You're giving Kevin Spacey in 7 vibes. I have a bunch of tiny notebooks with tiny handwriting.
What's in the box?
What's in the bag? Back to Brad.
When Brad listens to this episode,
our good friend Brad's one of his finest performances.
What's in the bag?
What's in the bag?
Come on.
The bag. The way he points that gun. Evan's just in the corner writing as small as he can in a little notebook.
Yeah. Creaky, jagged writing. Chicken
It's
scratch.
just margin to margin. He's like, I feel all the spaces.
No spaces. Yeah. He's like burnt the corners of the pages with a
These
lighter.
ideas, these are my best ideas.
And you can
Crumpled it.
have all of them if you want to use them to try and get together with your best female friend.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Evan's tiny book of
Ideas
cohabitation.
1 through 20. I must have showed you my children's list at some point, right? I think this is the scariest thing about my writing.
You have a list of children?
Please explain further.
Well, it is a Christmas episode, Evan. Are they naughty or nice? And how do you decide?
You must have seen this before.
What's the protocol?
You know what? I don't know.
You're not answering.
Will it ever be evidence? Do we want to see this?
Just going to show
What
you
is this?
really quickly.
Well, you got to tell because this is a podcast as well. Please.
Yeah,
remember.
but you guys have to see it as I tell you.
Okay.
Oh, brother.
He's looking down on his phone. He looks
Are we
sheepish.
going to narrate this?
It's called Evan's List of Baby Names.
Oh, God. Oh, Evan, it's too
all
long.
It's all got my
so
last name
long.
on them.
It's a scroll.
Stern.
That's insane.
That's insane.
Evan, what's the top one?
Yeah. What's your number?
Oxford Stern.
Nope. Okay. Don't want to hear
Next
any
one.
others.
What's number 2?
Nope. Is it Cambridge? If it's Cambridge.
Actually, I'm not gonna lie. The next one got used. My brother and sister-in-law took it. Oliver Stern. They took that one.
Okay, that's a
so I actually have to
normal-
delete
Oliver's
that.
nice,
But the next one after that is Brazil. So
Evan. Brazil Stern.
Evan,
There's
I
some
hope
good
you
ones
know
in
that I
here.
don't really mean this, though I partly do. I hope you're sterile.
and there might be a chance, to be honest. I've never had a real scare. So, and I've been fucking. No,
All my female friends.
And I do have a latex allergy, or at least that's what I tell the ladies.
Really tell them.
I think you might like this one. Iris Willem. Iris-Willem.
Is that for a... I know we don't
Up to
care about
you.
gender anymore.
Iris
Okay.
Willem Stern.
I don't want to be the boy named Iris. I'll tell you that right now.
It's cute. Buddy Stern.
Willem?
Buddy is off the table.
Buddy,
Why?
that's a dog, Evan. That's
silly.
a dog.
That's just silly.
Maybe
you
a
a
horse.
dog. Oh, the last one's real. I'm not. The
Please
last
read it.
one's
Awesome.
Estate Stern. Estate. No one's named Estate.
Has Alana
There's
seen
a
this
reason
list?
why. If you showed this to her,
Does she know about this?
I think on our first date, I was like, "Look,"
Oh, that is so you.
and she's like, "It's fine." Like, that's fine. She just like puts my
Put
hand
that
down. Like, I'm not gonna
tut-tut.
look at these.
Alana is a
Oh
queen.
my God. Oxford is your number one. What do you call him? Oxy or Ford?
Honestly,
What's
it's
his
up
nickname?
It's up to them at some point, right?
No, you give people nicknames. People don't give themselves. I mean, we have a rule about this. People don't give themselves nicknames.
I know.
Yeah.
I can't get no.
That becomes a loser. You can't. You're like,
can't
I want
name
people to start
yourself.
calling me Ford. You can't do that.
You can't do that.
What have you
Yeah.
been wanting to be called this whole time, Jacob? I'd love to start calling you your wanted nickname.
Yeah, what's your
I
chosen
never
nickname?
had a nickname I wanted. I was always a Jacob, and then I got called JT a lot on set. I get called JT a lot.
Do you like Michelle's nickname for you, Jacob?
Jacob? Yeah, I do. Because I
Jacob.
can hear her say it, Jacob.
Jacob.
It's cute. Yeah. My sister calls me Jake. I mean, there's been people
So not a Jake to me. It's so interesting.
Yeah, but Jacob lends itself to, as one knows, lends itself to Jake. But I'm not. I agree. I'm a Jacob.
Interesting. Tell me more about that.
Tell me more about what?
That's it. My dad used to call me Jacob Daniel the Cocker Spaniel.
Jacob Daniel the Cocker Spaniel.
That's a cute dad one.
I'm going to start calling you Cocker for short.
All right. Boy. Well, guys, on that note, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, I think we gave enough, right?
Oh, we gave. This is like a 9-hour podcast.
Okay.
Way too much. Connor's going to cut it to like 20 minutes, too. It's going to be really nice.
Good luck.
Yeah. Oh, maybe he'll just bleep the celebrity names that we kind of. That'd be actually kind of funny.
Every single one?
No, just the ones that we say sort of.
They're the ones we say we like only.
Things.
He just
yeah.
Bleep
it. Thank you so much for coming for the Christmas episode. It was so fun to have you. We obviously want to have you back. No Christmas, comment.
Anytime. I would love it. Oh no, I was doing my coy face. Sorry. I was doing my coy face. I would love to come back. Sorry. All right. Fair enough, Evan. No, this was so fun. This was such a fun trip down memory lane for the episode. And this was so fun to do advicey poos.
Yay.
This is great. And I love you guys.
We love you so much. And yeah, I hope you have an incredible Christmas. Everyone listening, thank you for listening on Christmas Eve, which is when this comes out. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, you're in the holiday season. So happy holidays. We love you all very much.
And I hope whenever anybody opens their Christmas present, they get to go, what's in the bag?
Should we do the Christmas follow law to be fair in harmony right now?
Yes.
Ooh.
3,
Wait,
2,
can you give me the regular song first so I can get it close?
Silent night.
Okay, so it's to be okay. Wait, no, do you start again?
To be fair. Yeah, do we get a pitch pipe out for real?
I wish we had one.
To be fair.
Wait, just
is it to be fair?
Yes.
To be fair.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
To be fair. You slowed down by 1,000%.
I think it works. I think it's actually good.
People are going to love it. Thanks, guys.
Give the people what they want. Merry
Love
Christmas,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Love
Merry
you.
Christmas.
Bye.
Mwah, mwah, mwah.